Have you heard about this personal and professional podcast?
Coaching in Session
with your host, Michael Rearden.
I do want to make this whole entire week about mindset. And you might think, well, we already know, Michael, this is a mindset podcast. And sure enough, we need to kind of poke a little bit of fun at mindset a little bit, because previously we had a guest come on talk a little bit about mindset and his take on it. And it's a very interesting take. I have my own takes on mindset also. So we're going to be talking about mindset most of the week. I'm going to be coming in with the blog episode today. We're going to be talking about a new type of mindset, which is more of a disease of what the mind is. And we're going to be talking about the role of the abstract mind. When we get into that conversation, you're going to learn that maybe I need to be paying a bit more attention to mindset, because it's everything that I do. And whether you like it or not, mindset is effective. So getting into this article, The Disease of Cure, the Role of the Abstract Mind. Basically, what this is that the abstract mind is going to be the part of us that shapes our beliefs, perceptions, and reactions around us. Now, it is easy for me to say, hey, mindset is so powerful, and if you can utilize it, you're going to have a perfect life. Well, that's not reality. Reality is, how much are you willing to work for it? That means you need to have action, right? Nothing is going to be driven without action. So you need to have some level of action, whether it's a phone call, whether it's, doing it yourself. You need something to happen. Now, of course, things can dilapidate with time, and that's inaction, but that's going to be a different conversation. We need to look at what is happening all around us and look at all the different figures and factors that are going to influence our mind. And I have basically talked about some of the mindset diseases that I'm going to talk about right now. And this is going to affect your mindset. So if you have a good, strong mindset, you're going to have these diseases under wrap. Think of a disease almost like diabetes. You have maybe cancer, hope not. You have some type of ailment, right? You can have Crohn's, so autoimmune stuff going on. Well, in a sense, the mind can have some problems too. Now, I'm not talking about like the mental disorders where we have schizophrenia, where you're claustrophobic, etc., right? Or like anarachnophobia, like arachnophobia is the thing with spiders or something. I don't know about snakes or whatever, but people are afraid of stuff, right? So either way, you have this idea in your mind of like, hey, like this is really affecting me. But if we can really break it down, we can break it down in just 5 steps. So number 1 is going to be self-doubt. 2 is going to be fixed thinking. 3 is going to be procrastination. 4 is victim mentality. And 5 is negative self-talk. So again, this is void of any type of mental disorder. Because when it comes to mindset, and especially if you're doing mindset work, you should be a healthy individual. I'm not talking about physical prowess. I'm not talking about if you can run a lot and you can lift a lot. I'm not talking about physical, right? I'm just talking about your mentals in order, meaning you can think clearly, you know what's right from wrong, good moral compass typically, and you can differentiate between if you are doing something good or if you're doing something bad. And that is going to be on all different levels. There's no judgment when it comes to what you want to do, but you have to decide what you're going to do. That means if you don't have any action, as I said before, you are not going to get the results that you're looking for. So we begin with self-doubt, right? Number 1, what is self-doubt, right? Most of the time, self-doubt is going to be that initial thing that comes in your mind that says, hey, I don't know if I can do this. And it could happen from the limiting beliefs that are stem from you, from your past childhood teachers, coaches, etc. Basically, something that's there that says, hey, take it easy. You can't do it maybe, or it has never been done before, so it must be impossible. Well, everything that was impossible that was able to be accomplished was just something that hasn't been done before. Yet we live in a world today where self-doubt is like a badge of honor. It's like, well, I don't know if I can do it, but I might give it a shot. I'm going to give it my best. The thing about your best when you have self-doubt lingering is that the brain and the body are not going to link. That means if you have any bit of doubt within your mind, of course, the body's going to say, well, why am I even going to exert myself? I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the story of like a mom. Something happened with the car and the car got flipped over, right? Well, either way, her kid was in the car or something like that, right? So or the baby was in the car or someone was on the car and she lifted the car. She lifted the car, right? And you would think like, how can this woman lift a car? Is she a bodybuilder? No, it's incorrect. Maybe she goes to the gym. Maybe she does Pilates, right? But to lift a car? No, it's very, very difficult to lift a car, right? Well, I remember one time, this is in the hood back in the day where all my friends were kind of, just doing the wrong thing, right? And that was one of my groups, right? Either way. So we had to go change someone's tire, right? They had a flat tire or something. We were trying to lift the car up and the tire wouldn't fit on properly, even though we had the jack all the way up, and we were doing things that were dangerous. Like literally you could have lost a finger what we were doing. Well, either way, tire didn't fit or whatever. And we're trying to get this, tire on. And we thought we had I don't know, six people there or something. And we were all trying to lift the car and it made no sense, right? Because even though we're all strong, we're not going to lift the car, right? But that woman lifted the car by herself, right? Or supposedly by herself. So we have this individual that was not able to do or was able to do something that, six, early 20 men could do. So not saying that women are not stronger than men or whatever, but I'm just talking about the reality is if you have more people playing tug of war, you're going to have more strength, right? Depending on who you're going tug of war with, right? I know there was a video of I think it was a bunch of men trying to do tug of war with a tiger, and the tiger was just beating them, right? So of course you have different levels of strength. It's very different than what we were told, right? Because I can't lift a car by myself. I would be, I don't want the day to happen, but if I ever had to lift a car because my kids were in the car, or someone I love was in the car, or just a random stranger, maybe, right? And it was do or die. Would I be able to lift the car? I would be interested to find out, right? But one of the things that is going to pop in my mind, right, is I couldn't lift a car before when I was in my 20s. So how can I lift a car in my 30s now, right? That self-doubt is going to be yelling at me. It's going to be screaming at me. It's going to say, you couldn't do it before, you can't do it again, or you will never, ever be able to do it. So I have to make a choice. Am I going to allow the self-doubt to stay there? And I'm going to keep my fixed thinking of, I couldn't do it before and I won't be able to do it later, right? Because I gave it every ounce of me before. And I can tell you back when on that day, I remember I didn't, all right? Because it seemed like no one really wanted to lift a car anyway. So it was just like a bunch of people faking, right? And I gave a little bit of energy, but it was not 100%. There was no urgency for me to lift that car, for anyone to lift the car. Now, if my friend's hand got stuck under the car, we probably would have lifted that car. All right. That's just the reality. All right. There was nothing pushing us to be more than what we are. So we just stayed in our fixed type of thinking and our comfortable way of being. And we weren't really looking at what we could accomplish, right? The abilities that we have using all of our intellect, every bit of ourself, right? We were just saying, well, let's just kind of remain in this homeostasis. And that's where many people are. They just want to stay in the homeostasis. But then how long can you wait, right? Can you procrastinate when it comes to your mind? Because you might think, well, I have time, right? How many people think they have tomorrow? I raise my hand, right? I understand that I don't have tomorrow, but then at the same time, I say I do it tomorrow, meaning okay, tomorrow I have to do this. And it's not so much that I can't do today, but it's not ready to be done. All right. For example, tomorrow I know I have to watch my kid. I'm not going to watch my kid today because I still have to watch my kid tomorrow. It doesn't make sense, right? So we have responsibilities that are going to be everlasting. There's always going to be a new responsibility the next day. However, we can do things that are not going to continue with our procrastination phase, right? When it comes to the mind. So if I'm a person that likes to procrastinate, I might go on my phone a lot. I have my phone, I'm on my phone and I'm on TikTok, and I'm on YouTube, and I'm on Facebook, and I'm on all these social medias. I'm going back and forth to try to be entertained. Well, I'm going to find some entertainment, and I might fall in love with it for 5 minutes, and then I'm trying something different. And then before I know it, my whole day has been usurped by doing nothing. So now my mind has not only been fixated on not growing, but it's been also distracted. So now I'm going to have to face the reality of what I just did. And most people, they fall into the victim mentality. Oh, I'm so tired. Oh, like I would love to do it. I just don't know how. Like I just don't have the money. I just don't have the time, right? So you literally wasted all of that time on your phone or doing things that you shouldn't have been doing or thinking in a negative fashion. So all of these issues are there, and it's creating that victim type mentality. And then guess what happens? If you give yourself a little bit of mindset in the mix, oh, mindset doesn't work. Oh no, like it doesn't work. I tried it, right? But then the thing about mindset is that it's for individuals in a healthy state of mind, not individuals who have uncovered trauma that they are just bearing within their words that they speak. It's very interesting because then we get into the negative self-talk. How do you speak to yourself? Most of the time, many individuals, they don't speak too kindly to themselves, or maybe they don't speak kindly to others. The issue with either or is that negativity, it bounces and it's going to ricochet no matter who is presented at. If it's presented at you, it's going to ricochet within you. If it's presented at your partner, your children, your co-workers, whoever, is going to ricochet. So in a sense, you might say, well, do I have to just always be positive and always be optimistic? No, you have to understand. There's a level of awareness that is necessary when we're looking at the disease of mindset. Now, again, the abstract mind is talking about the part that shapes our beliefs, perceptions, and our reactions. And if we just take apart what that means is our beliefs are going to be something that is not only going to be tangible if we just think about it, right? We have to have some action there. So I can believe I can fly to the moon or I'm going to get to the moon. But if I'm not building a space shuttle, if I'm not applying to NASA, if I'm not doing what is necessary for me to get up to the moon, my belief is null, right? So belief alone is insignificant. While many people, they have their hopes, their dreams, and their wishes, and they allow that to be the chariot that they want to ride in to the good life on. You have to do the work. And most people who are dealing with a trauma or a bit of hardship, or they are upset and emotionally damaged, they're the people less likely to have action because they might do all of these things and spend all of this time on research and it becomes their life work. And what have they accomplished, right? Think of Scrooge McDuck. He spent all that time creating all this wealth for himself, and he's so miserable, right? He's like, oh, I'm a miserable person. And then eventually he has some grandkids or something, right? Like something happens. And then he seems a little bit more friendly, because he has kids, and kids typically make you more friendly. So if you don't have like kids in your life, you don't have a partner in your life, of course you're going to be bitter. You're going to be sour. You're going to be mad at the world. And that typically happens when your mind is full of distractions. You have trauma, you're dealing with trauma, right? So trauma is important to heal from. Perceptions are going to be exactly what that is, what you see, right? Because you might say, well, mindset didn't work for me. It's not going to work for anyone else. I haven't seen mindset work. And the thing about mindset is that it's so individualized, because if it's not set up properly, it's not going to work for you. You need to figure out what type of mindset you need and how to get it. For example, we talked about the tough love aspect, right? The sugar and spice previously on the podcast last week or 2 weeks ago or something like that. The aspect to that is certain people need tough love. All right. Certain people, they need a calm voice and a gentle hand, a bit of encouragement, right? I know who I'm working with. All right. Sometimes people come out and they say, Mike, I want you to be super tough on me, and I don't want you to let me get away with things. That's typically how I am with my coaches, because I'm like, listen, I know me and I need you to be on my butt. All right. I don't want you to be nice to me. Okay. You're still going to get paid. I'm not going to leave a negative review because you're being mean to me. No, I understand something, right? I understand who I am and I understand what I need. And if you don't know that, of course, mindset is not going to work for you. Of course, your beliefs are never going to come to fruition or come into reality because you don't even know what your next step is. Well, let's look at the reactions, right? Because we can be so reactive to anything, something happens, right? Someone says this, I'm reactive, right? Oh, but I thought we were in control of our thoughts and feelings interactions. Well, not everyone is. And that's going to be the topic of next week, right? Because if we are in control of us, then why is our mindset not for us? It's something that we need to be looking at very closely. Well, then we get into the aspect to how we get rid of these 5 things that we talked about, right? We talked about self-doubt. We talked about the fixed mindset. We talked about the procrastination. We talked about the victim mentality. We talked about the negative self-talk. Well, we need to figure out some cures, right? Because we're not only going to talk about the problem and not figure out the solution. We need the solution. Well, we have 5 solutions here. And the solutions that are going to be helping you get into a different type of mindset and to create some change. Now, the change is not created again by simply saying, well, I'm going to read these things and all of a sudden my life has changed. It is not that. If you want a body that is a body that you can be proud of, you have to put in the work. That means you cannot just say, I'm going to eat a bunch of cheeseburgers and I'm going to go on a diet next week. And, you cannot outwork a bad diet. So you need to figure out if you want to live a healthy life or be well, you need to do the things that are going to help you be well. That doesn't mean that you can just go out and get a pizza. It doesn't mean that you can go have an ice cream every night, right? Maybe you can, right? But even that, is it something that you want to keep up long term? Do you really want to have to work out to just get rid of that ice cream? No, you want to be able to enjoy your life, right? You don't want, eat anything you want, but understand there's going to be limits and there's going to be things that you have to sacrifice in a sense, right? I know there's the soccer player. I forget his name. I think it's Ronaldo. Ronaldo, he's a big soccer player. He did a press conference and they had a bunch of Coca-Colas there because I think Coca-Cola sponsored the game or something, or they were a sponsor. So they wanted their bottles of Coca-Cola in front of the players so the media and the press, they can have, the shots of the Coca-Cola. And you know what he did? He took the Coca-Cola and he put it down and he got his water. He goes, agua, agua. And agua means water. So basically, stocks plummeted, right? It was like, oh my God, Ronaldo, this great soccer player, doesn't drink Coca-Cola, and they lost so much money. I don't know exactly how much. I think it's like $1 billion or something. Maybe it wasn't that much, but it was a lot of money. Stock just dropped, right? Because of a person's understanding that what I put into my body is so important. So he gave himself, hey, water, right? But it's not just food. It's also what you put into your mind, what you consume mentally, right? Because scrolling on your phone all day is not good consumption of what your mind should be doing. But yet there's so many people that do it. There's people who ruminate on the past, who live within traumas and they refuse to heal from it. Of course, you're going to assume mindset is going to be the enemy when really, if you looked in the mirror, you were the enemy the whole time. Well, either way, let's get into number 1. Cultivate a growth mindset. Well, of course, that's common sense, right? We were trying to do the opposite of what a fixed mindset is. Let's get our mind to shift from that way of thinking that is not going to benefit us, where we can start to see what is possible rather than what is only plausible. Many people are just like, well, this is within my circumstance. And if you just reached a little bit more, you could probably get something that you thought you could never get before. If you're a guy, for example, you might see a really pretty girl and you're like, I don't know if I can get her. I want you to go up to her. And even if you get denied, there's still that possibility that she says, okay, you guys go on a date. Maybe you have a wonderful life together. She might even say something, later down the road is like, you were so out of my league, but I wanted to give you a chance. And you might have said, you were out of my league, but I still wanted to dare. So we have that growth mindset. We reach for a little bit more. And it doesn't just have to be relationships. It could be career. It could be anything, right? Anything that you can reach for, you can grab it. Even if it seems impossible in the beginning, in the initial stages, that is where magic can happen. Then we get into positive visualization and affirmations. Now, again, you can create your vision boards and you can say all these mantras, and they do have a power to them. They have a substance to them. But it's almost like if you have a toolbox and the toolbox has a bunch of ratchets and you need a screwdriver. Now, of course, you can keep on hitting the flathead with the ratchet and maybe it'll come loose, but the reality is there's different tools for different things. So if you have a strong, healthy mind, if you are not dealing with trauma and you are in a healthy place for progress, you have this type of growth you're looking for, of course, you can visualize. Of course, you can give yourself affirmations to help combat self-doubt that you might be dealing with. These are tools to combat what the abstract mind is doing. The disease of mindset is always going to be prevalent. We're always going to be negative creatures, right? Our brain, our body, our system is hardwired to look at the negative because the negative keeps us alive. So if I can focus on the things that are negative or the things that cause me fear or harm or discomfort, or maybe the things that are not certain, maybe at that point, then I can feel at ease. But then if we say, you know what, I'm going to take action despite the uncertainty, now our mindset is doing something different. Now the areas in our brain are starting to say, well, this person didn't want to do it and they did it. So guess what the brain is going to naturally do? It's going to say this son of a gun or person is doing things that is going against what my will is. And my will is to be comfortable. My will is to be complacent. That is what the brain loves most, right? The brain's main role is to keep us alive. And one of the ways it keeps us alive, whether we like it or not, is by saving energy. So if I don't have to expel energy or consume my energy to do a task, guess what? Let's save it. However, when we don't do it, it actually hurts us in the long run, right? Because the body's beginning to break down. We're not moving as much. Osteoporosis kicks in when you're late 40s, 50s, etc. You have to move. However, we were led to believe that if I want something in my life, right? If I want to do something, I need to make sure that I am going to take the action to get there. Yeah, you might be uncertain. Yes, you might fail. Yes, fear of failure or maybe failure in general is always going to be a probability. But there is a probability that you win, even if it's 1%. So if we understand that the probability of our success is going to be something that we get to determine, how much are we going to keep on pushing, right? Because are we going to push through the uncertainty? Are we going to push through all of the self-doubt and stuff and all the distractions? Maybe, right? Maybe. But not everyone is built for that. So it's easy for a person to use their perceptions and say, you know what? It's too much work. And I would rather have an easier method to follow and allow that to be my guide. But let me tell you something. There's a reason why 1% of the world population succeed wildly. And it's not because they had a plan. It's because they had a mindset of consistency. Well, either way. 4, we shift from victim to creator. We have to create. We have to build. We have to be hungry. We have to give ourselves this idea that if we want something, if we have this vision for something, we need action in order to get it. And then we need to have some type of stimulus that is going to be present there that either feels good, that's a motivator for us, or we just have to say, like, this is what is my purpose, my why, whatever, right? You're bringing something else beyond you. For the people who are stuck in that individual aspect, we talked about the aspect of social creatures. You should be surrounding yourself with people who are creators, people who want to build, right? The last thing you want is an anchor in your life, someone who's negative, someone who is not going to fight for you when you don't want to fight anymore. I want someone who's going to pick me up and slap me in the face when I say I want to give up. I don't want someone to say, okay, you give up. Okay, not a problem. Okay, great. Fight another day. Okay, no. I don't need that, baby. I need the spice. right? The sugar and spice stuff we talked about. I don't need the sugar and gumdrops. I need someone who's going to come in, light the fire under me because I already know I have it. But sometimes it could be a rainy day, rainy moment. And all of a sudden, right now, I'm finding myself. But then if you have someone to stoke that flame and say, get back up, get back on the horse, try again. Those are going to be the people who are going to get you out of that victim type mentality and help you begin creating once more. Then we get into our last one. It's about discipline. I hinted at it already. Discipline and consistency. It's almost like there's a recipe for greatness. And if I had to give one recipe for greatness, is discipline and consistency. Now, discipline raises your level. Okay. Discipline is, I'm not going to eat this cheeseburger because I understand it's not going to benefit my body. Even though I might have those hunger pains and it feels uncomfortable, well, guess what? I'm not going to eat it, right? That's discipline. But then you give yourself better things that are going to help build you up, right? So you do that and you remain consistent every single day. You do that. What happens to the person who's continually taking care of their body? Their body's going to eventually take care of them. That means it's going to give you the energy that you say you don't have. It's going to create more momentum so you get to places a lot quicker. So you don't have to say you don't have time. Because the person who's struggling to climb 2 flights of stairs because they're overweight, you have a person who might be able to get up those 2 flights of stairs 5 times as quick. Why? Because they have given themselves this mindset of being fit. They have been disciplined to eat healthy, maybe to go to the gym or to have some level of fitness in their life. And they remain consistent in doing that. Because you might say, well, I'm going to be consistent eating cheeseburgers, Mike, right? I'm going to eat some pizza. I'm going to be consistent eating some pizza. Well, I don't want you to be consistent on the bad things. I want you to be consistent on the good things that are going to lift you up, the good things that are going to benefit you. You can be consistent going to therapy if you need it. You can be consistent going to an AA meeting if you need, like if you're in that situation. You could be consistent getting coaching. You could be consistent going to the gym. You could be consistent with your eating regimen, like your meal preps, right? You can be consistent in so many different things. And it doesn't even end at mindset. In your personal life, you could be consistent in growing at work. You could be consistent in communicating with your partner. You could be consistent in so many different things. And typically, if you can be consistent in a positive manner for a long enough time, you're going to come out on top. Now, we're not only saying that one day we're going to wish and we're going to dream and we're going to say, if we remain consistent, we keep on clapping, eventually something is good to come our way. No, you need to be a person that's going to say, this is what I want and this is how I'm going to get it. We need to have a plan. A mindset without a plan is just the same thing as a dream without a plan. It's just a dream. And the way we make a dream reality is by action. So we have to take action every single day. You have to put yourself out there. You have to go to that job fair. You have to go to that job opening. You have to fill out the resume. You have to ask that girl out or ask that guy out. You have to, call your parents that you have disavowed or something and say, you know what, I forgive you or I love you. I just want to let you know that. You want to tell your kids you love them. You want to be there to support them, but then allow them to experience life for the good and the bad. We're not there to protect them and coddle them the whole entire time. There's going to be ups and downs in life, and we have to be ready for them. Because it's easy for someone to say, you know what, my life is just so difficult. There's so much struggle and so much challenge. And I did all this, looking for, like how I can change my life. And mindset wasn't the answer. Well, the problem with mindset is only the answer when you're ready for it. So we look at this blog once more. The disease of mindset and the cure. The role of the abstract mind. Now, the abstract mind is going to be the part that shapes our beliefs and perceptions and our reactions to the world. But there is going to be good news that we can heal from this abstract way of thinking that is causing us negative harm and creating a negative bias in our life. Now, this is not a path I recommend going by yourself, because it doesn't matter how much training you have. I don't care. You could be Tony Robbins. It doesn't matter. What you have to do when you're trying to truly fall into the mindset necessary for growth and change, you need to surround yourself. The reason why we talked about social creatures before a couple of weeks ago, because we can't do it by ourselves. And if you think that you can just stay in a room by yourself and have this nice, strong mindset. Oh, I have a nice, strong mindset. I went to the gym today. I meal prepped today. Great, right? You need to surround yourself with the people who are doing the same things as you or are doing the things that you would like to do. Maybe even things that are better than you might have ever dreamed of. All right. And then from there, your body just acclimates. It's like, water levels, right? Because if I pour water and, onto the floor, it's going to spread out eventually. If the room is sealed perfectly, the water level is going to rise evenly. It's not going to be low in one area unless it's like, like a slope area, but we have everything rising at the same time. So you can choose to rise with, very quickly. You surround yourself with the right people, or you can say, you know what, I'm just going to do a drop at a time by myself. And it takes a very long time. So for the people who give up too soon, those are the people you should be paying attention to. Because why did they give up? Did they give up because they didn't have anyone supporting them? Or they gave up because they didn't give themselves this mentality of never surrendering? Because, of course, science can show us that, science says it's impossible. Statistics show it's impossible. Well, impossible, again, is just a clever way to say that it has never been done before. And if you want to do things in your life, understand that you are the proponent to make things happen. And so we are going to be talking next episode on the aspect of the 1% mind. I gave a couple of hints and tips and tricks in this episode, so I hope you can find those golden nuggets. But we're going to be breaking down that aspect on the next episode, because when we're talking about mindset, it's more than just a one-time type of thing. Mindset is almost like how you forge steel. You have to hit it again and again and again and again. And if you think that a little bit of thinking and a little bit of journaling and a little bit of growth mindset and positive thinking and surrounding yourself with the right people is enough, think again. Because if you do it just for a time, if you diet just for a time, you know why diets don't work? Is because diets are temporary. Mindset should be permanent. Yet for the people who fail at mindset, it's because they did not treat it as something that was permanent. They looked for an alternative that might be beneficial to them. But in the end, mindset will work if you work for mindset. So again, I encourage everyone to check out my most recent blog. The link is in the description box below. The Disease of Mindset and the Cure, the Role of the Abstract Mind. Do not allow your mind to be tainted by what other people may say, because the limits that we give ourselves are just as bad as the limits that other people give us. So you get to decide your own destiny. You get to decide your future. Your life is meant for you to live. It's not meant for someone else to say that you can't do something or that this is the right way and this is the wrong way. Because guess what? If I want to get to the grocery store, there's about 50 ways I can get to the grocery store. Now, of course, there's some that are more streamlined. But then again, they say life's about the journey. So you need to figure out what type of journey you want to go on. And then you give yourself the aspect of being able to overcome what the mind is thinking and believing. Because in the end, you only need one person to believe in yourself. Hopefully it can be you. If not, it could be someone else. But it's so much more powerful if you are that person believing in yourself. But the thing about belief is that it can be lost instantaneously. So the moment you stop believing it works, it will. And that is also the same with mindset. So it's not only about belief though. Remember, action is necessary every step of the way. So don't just think it, do it. And then at the end, you're going to find yourself a lot closer to where you need to be. There is no time limit to get there. There is only the certainty that you will get there. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, because you understand at the end of it, you made it.